the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Sedinam Tamaklo and a former CEO at the Maslok na Yebeka in 2016 and I tabri mami at the Nukokopie court say what cause financial loss to the state. I born 78 count of charges and I de a bomb mami and ye koba and chain and a tembono by I am Sedinam Tamaklo. Judge otena adwam ama no 10 years na said ye ne ayi no Sedinam Tamaklo any country we mu na no nam so ema attorney general e de atu igwa se ye omo betwe maame no de no abafie ama no aba abafie si justice ema obi ahu se ewiase de wudua no eno a na obetwa na sensitive efa maame ensasi question na omanfo erege ni say intimami nko na first SK ya na because of say oni ha ode nokra ebeba beda di nti no ama ekame say bona sika no wonsa won bi no ade say won so ateku me no ka say di ayayem hihye ede ama omo na no na deputy former attorney general ono your friend Joseph Dindio Pempa and so Edena no etu bi na de ensem na papa yi eka yenkotie.
This particular matter in particular, the first time I reviewed the documents personally, when the copies were made for us to have a look at it by the Attorney General and to have a conference to discuss the details, I actually cringed. I couldn't believe it. The facts were like they were concocted, to be very honest with you. The facts were like they were concocted. Because this was not just stealing, but as to borrow a word from Dog, naked thievery. You know, in one of the charges, Samson, do you know what happened? The boss of Maslok decided to give a loan to a rural bank. And they did not even reach any agreement. Yet the money was transferred to the rural bank. When the money got to the account of the rural bank, the people then asked, okay, so what is the interest rate of the money you have sent to us? Imagine something that you should have done earlier was not even done. Then the interest rate was then quoted by Sedinam. When the interest rate was quoted, the rural bank management said, look, the interest rate you have quoted, if we pick this money, we cannot make any money out of it, so we want to return it to you. What do? Good corporate practice. You write to them and give your account, Maslok account. Then they pay the money directly into the account and produce receipt for accountability purposes. You know what she said? She directed them to cash the money and bring it to Accra. And then they cashed the money in a Ghana must go, carried it to Accra. They met at Bachona filling station, Total filling station, and the money was packed into her boot and she drove away. And that ended it. She's been convicted of that particular charge. Yeah.
So
then the second one.
Yes.
I'm giving you, I'm just itemizing them because I have the facts. I don't need to even read anything. Yeah. The second one, they were supposed to do some nationwide sensitization workshops for some category of persons with respect to matters like this. The money was about 2 million Ghana cedis. Less than 5% was used for the intended purpose. The rest was shared. As if it was ground nuts. Look, there was a fire disaster in one of the markets. Some money was allocated to help the victims. Just a little percentage of it was used. The rest, they shared it. There were some phones they had to buy. One on the market, 100 cedis. The prices they quoted, 400 each. Clearly, some vehicles were procured. In fact, those vehicles even delayed the trial because we had finished all the charges and then we bumped on a report which indicated that vehicles had been bought, some of them at thrice the market price. Some at thrice the market price. Some at twice the market price. We had to amend our charges to include all these. And remember that they were found guilty of over 70 charges. All of them.
78.
Yes. In fact, it is one of the most nauseating cases I have come across in legal prosecution. Because the act of impunity, naked thievery and robbery perpetuated by them was frightening. And you see, when the judgment was read, I posted something on my social media handle. I indicated that it was not a moment for anybody to celebrate. It was not a moment for anybody to be joyous, but for us all to have a sober reflection.
In fact, Tua Yeboah, Afre Tua Yeboah,
Yes.
has been saying,
Yes.
all those in office now,
Yes.
take a cue.
That's what I'm just coming to say. You see, you have to be very, very careful. Day of accountability will come. And when it comes, you'll be in that dock alone. And the wheels of justice may grind slowly, but in the end, when the pronouncement is made and you are taken away to Nsawam, you would come to the realization that acts of impunity cannot go unpunished and go forever. Something, just to conclude on this, if you look at the acts, and if you look at the conduct of even the principal person, which even made Justice Efia very angry. I mean, that the state didn't take enough steps or action to be able to have her in Ghana to face trial. Because clearly whatever she did it in order to evade conviction. That was why they had to try her in absentia in line with the constitutional principle and dictate. But I'm saying this again, that those in office now ought to take a clue from this. And this is the third time, and all those cases passed through my hand anyway, as Deputy Attorney General in charge of criminal prosecution. This is the third case of a very nauseating nature. The first one was NCA. At a point in time, some money was shared like groundnuts, and they secured conviction. Then this one. And the third one, you remember, venture capital. You remember venture capital? In that particular case, they had to take advantage of Section 35 of the Courts Act. And then they did a plea bargain. They were convicted, and then they went ahead to pay. If you look at a combination of these cases and the convictions that have been secured, and then at least the amounts of money involved and etc., a lot would have been saved to this nation. But as I have stated time and again, those in office now ought to take a clue from this. And I thank my brother Tua Yeboah for the statement he has made. They have to take a cue. Because it is very, very, very juicy.
Initially, the court,
dip your hand in there and fetch.
Initially, the court, there were people who were very critical about the court, that it was not being sympathetic, she was not well, she needed bail to be able, she needed opportunity to travel, take care of herself. And this was like a media trial. And eventually the court had to succumb and say, well, go and take care of yourself and come. And she goes, she doesn't come.
She doesn't come.
The question Ghanaians are asking now is this judgment as empty as the paper?
Well, something, remember that even at the initial stages, I thought that there was going to be another step that would have been taken, an international collaboration to get her brought back forward, to face justice.
We're told
but if you try that, most of the countries up there, they will think there is political persecution, and so they will not allow it. They will even extradite the person. But now that we have secured conviction, the person is a convict,
right?
And you have to come and serve your sentence. So what they now need to do is to collaborate with the U.S. authorities and the anti-corruption agencies there to ensure that the person is extradited to come and serve the terms. But something, I said this in London, and I want to say it today. Sometimes out there, when we go, we are so much better. We went for economic crimes conference in Jesus College in the UK.
Be very brief about that.
And it was some kind of unanimous thing by our friends from the West that we are just a group of criminals up here. And I stood up there and I made a very forceful point. And I talked about the fact that sometimes millions of dollars from Africa, we cut it to those countries. They receive the money. They know very well that we are incapable of getting such monies. They receive it there and later on freeze those accounts and make it their own property. Perhaps some of them are more criminal even than those that are accusing them.
Right.
So I am just in conclusion saying that what the fate of Sedinam, Tamaklo, and other persons be a guide to all public office holders, that one day accountability will knock on your door.
Right. Thank you very much. And thanks to Martin Pebu, Alex Mould is not in jail. He would have been in jail.
Yes, but for Martin Pebu,
he's too surety,
yes.
And then she escaped.
Probably there was some advice. She said, okay, if I go now, the consequences that the civil process will be taken.
Thanks to the case that Martin Pebu mounted, that a person who stands surety should not be put in prison, but rather their property should be chased to liquidate the bail sum. I was trying to put the monies together, and I went to each count. Count 1, stealing. That is the 28th of August, 2014, 500,000. She stole the money. Count 2, stealing. 13th April, 2016, 84,000. She stole it. Count 3, stealing. 21st of April, 2016, 73,500. Count 4, stealing. 1st June, 2016, 126,000. Count 5, conspiracy to steal, stealing. 16th June, 2016, 114,000. Count 6, stealing. 16th June, 2016, 114,000. And some of the amount, huge, 228,000, 158,000, 162,000, 136,000. I want to give you an idea how the court came by the eventual total amount. They were not conjured from the skies. They are monies that were in fact stolen. 3.19 million while they were at Maslock, and then they caused a loss of 1.797 million financial loss. They also made an authorized commitment resulting in financial obligations to the government to the tune of 61.47 million. Vitus Azin. Hello, Vitus Azin.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. So we have come to the end of the prosecution, but getting the money is going to be another issue. What do you say from your end?
Well, for me, I think that when you are accused of or found guilty of causing financial loss to the state, the first thing should be the recovery of the money. As for sending the person to jail, it should be a second factor. That is penalizing the person for the crime. But the state should be interested in getting the money back, either in cash or in properties that the fellow has acquired over the years. Otherwise, we'll just waste our time, send the person to jail, the state will take care of the person in jail, then he or she will release, come out and go and enjoy the booty. So for me, the priority should be recovering the money, retrieving the money that has been illegally taken. And then, of course, the fellow has committed a crime by illegally taking the money. You can now go ahead to jail the person. If you don't do that, I think we are not making a headway. Of course, let's say that it's a good thing that this thing has happened. It should deter others from getting involved in that type of thing. But some people bail the lady. They should be called book. Otherwise, the lady can just get lost in the U.S. and we cannot get her back. And then after 2 weeks of discussion, we'll forget about it. So the people who stood for the bail must also be brought up. And the investigation should go beyond those two people. One of your panelists talked about a bank carrying the money in Ghana must go and bring it to Accra and put in a private car. That is something that those people involved should be held to account for. You cannot do that with public money.
Right.
So it's good that they have done the same, but
and
maybe
what
they have done.
What do you think can be done to those that they were making purchases from and the prices were inflated 2 times, 3 times the cost of the product on the market?
Conspiracy, clearly.
Well,
because that's what enables the crime to continue, the stealing to continue. They inflate the price, but they don't actually purchase at that price. The one who is taking the money will subsequently give the other part of the money to the person in office who is stealing it through that kind of a conduit.
Yes, that's why I say that the investigation should go beyond just these two personalities. There are people who collaborated. There are people who connived. There are people who condoned in this whole exercise. And they should be called to book. I have always said that if electricity company or what the company complains about the stolen meters, somebody needs to go after these dealers in these second-hand things. Those who buy them from the thieves. If you tackle it from there, they will no longer be stealing them because there will no market for those things.
All right.
So all the people that are involved in these things should also be brought to book.
Right. Dr. Steve Mantia, are you there?
Pardon?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. The situation where we end up with these prosecutions only after the people have left office, do you think that is deterrent enough? Because unless we play the ostrich, we know that these things continue. They are happening right now in these offices. People are going to constituencies using public funds, sharing them in a certain way just to win votes. And they may probably say they are going to give support for some people in excess of $1 million and only end up there giving 500,000 of the money and pocket the rest. This is going on.
Yeah, that's why I indicated earlier that it is good we have this conviction. Next step will be how we execute it. But it is more important that we have these type of prosecutions under the certain government. When governments in power begin to tackle corruption within their own government, then we'll be sending the right signal to the perpetrators of these kind of acts, which undermine our economic development. So yes, it's good, but then we should begin to look within. We hear of cases during, parliamentary primaries, and money is being shared left, right, center. You would want a certain government to begin to call people to order, to begin to question, get investigations instituted into how these monies were secured, and then